Enemy of Justice was released May 17th, 2006. This set introduced the Destiny Heroes, a series of dark counterparts to the elemental hero monsters that have their own synergy and support. This is a decently powerful set. It has some cards that will impact our format, but not a lot. This set does have a lot of graveyard floodgates. I'm not quite sure why Konami needed to include so many in the set, but we do have them. Destiny Hero Doomlord is the first card that's worth talking about. This banishes a monster your opponent controls for 2 turns. So this could see play in Destiny decks specifically. A Swift Birdman Joe is a giant Trunade on a 2300 body that requires a wind for a tribute to activate its effect. Bountiful Artemis will be good for the counter fairy archetype later on. Unfortunately, a lot of it is high rarity, but it is possible for us to get it still. Elemental Hero Mariner can attack directly if you have a back row. Elemental Hero Necroid Shaman is really cool, but unfortunately, because Elemental Hero Necroshade is a video game promo, we unfortunately will not have access to it. However, we do have access to some very, very powerful elemental hero support in this set. We have H Heated Heart, E Emergency Call, R Righteous Justice, and O Oversoul. E Emergency Call is reinforcement of the army for elemental heroes. R Righteous Justice destroys back row, and O Oversoul resurrects an elemental hero monster. This is not incredibly powerful right now, but it will be once we get access to Elemental Hero Neos in the next set, Power of the Duelist. And now, the Graveyard Floodgates. Oh, the Graveyard Floodgates. There are so many of them in this set. So Grand Convergence is a very playable card in our format if we are playing some kind of Banish-related strategy, because Macrocosmos is by itself a Graveyard Floodgate, and Grand Convergence is a Dark Hole on a quick play spell if you control Macrocosmos. Dimensional Fissure is another Graveyard Floodgate, Destiny Signal is Hero Signal for Destiny monsters, and Icarus Attack is a card that we are going to want to pick up 3 copies of. While this is not playable now, unless you're trying to run something like Harpies, this card will be very, very important in the 5Ds era if we want to play Blackwings. And we'll get to Blackwings once we get to 5Ds era. Now, at the rare slot, we do have some interesting cards as well. We have Destiny Hero Diamond Dude. If anyone remembers the old Diamond Dude Turbo from this era, this is very playable. What you can do is, once per turn, you can excavate the top card of your deck. If it is a normal spell, you bin it, and then during the main phase of your next turn, you can activate the effects of it. Note that you do not pay costs of that spell, so that can wind up doing some very powerful things later on once we get a lot of spells that have hefty costs. Harpy's Pet Baby Dragon is Harpy support. Majestic Mech Oka is actually interesting. It's a 2400 normal summon that's normally a 1 tribute, but you can normal summon it without tributing, but it is destroyed during the end phase. This can be used to out very troublesome monsters. Banisher of the Radiance is another Graveyard Floodgate. So Hero Flash lets your normal elemental hero monsters attack directly, but you needed to have played H Heated Heart, E Emergency Call, R Righteous Justice, and O Oversoul. It might be worth it as a 1-of in Elemental Heroes, because that's quite a way to get over monsters, but that is quite a few hoops to jump through. I could definitely see it as a 1-of in Heroes, though. And then the only other rare that's worth really talking about is Forced Back. So Forced Back is a really cool tempo play. It negates the normal summon or flip summon of your opponent's monster and then sends it back to the hand. So it's very powerful in tempo aggro decks. High rarities, there's not a ton of crazy interesting stuff. Cyber Phoenix is probably the best generically good super rare in the set, and it's one I'm hoping to pick up. It will negate any spell or trap effects that target 1 machine monster, so it protects all your machine monsters from targeted spell and trap effects. And when it's destroyed by battle, you get to draw a card. And then Victory Viper is specifically for the machine deck as well. This card, while it looks weak, has quite a few effects. It's a 1200 body that if it destroys your opponent's monster in battle, you can make it permanently gain 400 attack, blow up a back row, or clone itself minus its effects. And that cloned can attack immediately, which is really nice on an empty board. Elemental Hero Wild Wingman is a pretty big boy. It turns all of your spells, or all of your cards in hand, into mystical space type boons. It's not a huge body, but being able to pop back row using any card from your hand is pretty crazy. Now, the second best super rare in the set is Clock Tower Prison. If you can keep this around for 4 turns, all battle damage that you take gets reduced to 0. And the last ability is Trinket Text. If the card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Destiny Hero Dreadmaster, which is one of the Destiny Hero boss monsters. It's not worth jumping through all the hoops to do so, but I'll show you what Dreadmaster does. So Dreadmaster special summons 2 Destiny Heroes from your graveyard if you go through all the hoops to do so, and then it stops Destiny Hero monsters for being destroyed if you special summon it through Clock Tower Prison, and it's just a big boss monster is all. At the ultra rare slot, the only one that I'm really hoping for is Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer. This is a fusion of Avian and Burstinatrix. Flame Wingman is just a better fusion in general, but this will give us something to do with our polymerization for Avian and Burstinatrix. It's just a 2100 that can't be destroyed by battle. It's not terrible, but I would really like a Flame Wingman. And that's really all I have to say about Enemy of Justice. It's a middle power set that will enable some archetypes of going forward. And with the release of Enemy of Justice comes a new Forbidden and Limited list, the April 2006 list. This changes a couple of things for the Progression series, but not too many. A Mask of Darkness will go to 1 copy. A DD Assailant we don't have access to because it is a video game promo. A Treeborn Frog goes to 1 as expected. Last Will to 1, Pot of Avarice to 1, Drop Off to 1, and then we do have some semi-limits that will affect us as well. Apprentice Magician to 2, a Magician of Faith to 2, which I would like to take advantage of if I can run a controlling enough deck. A Reflect Bounder to 2, which does not impact us. Nobleman of Crossout and Deck Dev to 2, which don't impact us. Book of Tayo is probably something that Ford might mess around with because he has a Morphing Jar, and this can be enabled to play some kind of just Empty Jar shenanigans. Empty Jar shenanigans are the primary reason why Book of Tayo was limited in the first place, and in this list it does come off, so we will have access to 3 copies. Probably the single biggest change is Magician of Faith going to 2. Alright, so we have 24 packs of Enemy of Justice coming up. We get a great start from this pack. An H-Heated Heart. Banisher of the Radiance is one of the things we're looking for. That's a Graveyard Floodgate. Will be very good going forward. Then next up we have Icarus Attack as the primary good card in this pack. We do want to see 3 of those for later. Oh, Oversoul is nice as well. And then Forced Back is an interesting one. It is a bounce negate for normal or flip summon monsters. Grand Convergence might see play. Another Oversoul is nice, and Macrocosmos as well. We did get our first holo at Cyber Prima. Unfortunately, Alexis's monsters aren't particularly good, except for Cyber Angel Ben 10, which is not in this set. Couple good Destiny cards in here. Harpy's Pet Baby Dragon, but nothing terribly special. Gonna be going through these packs rather quickly this time around. We did pick up some stuff here. E-Emergency Call is something we'll want 3 of if we want to play heroes. Dimensional Fissure is great as well. Nothing too special in this pack, just another DeFi and Macrocosmos. Elemental Hero Mariner is noteworthy as well. There's our first Majestic Mech Oka. Oka is a 2400 normal summon in a pinch. Hero Flash is something we'll want as a one-of in Elemental Heroes if we do play it, and that is our playset of both Macrocosmos and a Dimensional Fissure. Alright, so here we got an Ultimate Rare Majestic Mech Goryu. Start counting the Ultimate Rares in this box, by the way. This one is a pretty wild ride, I'll just say that much. H-Heated Heart, Our Righteous Justice. are the only real noteworthy cards in here. Nothing too terribly strong in this pack. The Necroid Shaman we cannot use because Necroshade is a video game promo. So that's our second ulti. It's a Victory Viper XX03, which will go into the machine deck. And we are collecting more of the hero pieces as well. All of which are good on their own. H-Heated Heart is probably the weakest one, but all the rest of them are just fantastic. So that is ulti number 3. It's unfortunately just a Herald of Purple Light, but just the number of ultis in this box was something else. There's our Clock Tower Prison. Clock Tower Prison is one of the only generically good holos in this set. If you can protect it for 4 turns, then you don't take any more battle damage as long as it's around. And that's our playset of Oka. Pretty happy to see that. One thing I am starting to get a little bit worried about at this point in the box is not opening a playset of Icarus Attack. Because we're pretty deep into this box, and we've only found the 1. You want to have 3 in your deck for the future once you actually want to build around Winged Beasts. Our first Diamond Dude at 16 packs in likely means that we are not going to be playing DDT. If we can get a second one, that would be nice, but I don't know how viable DDT is for Progression Series to begin with. Ultimate Rare number 4, by the way, is another Forced Back. Forced Back is an interesting one, like I said. It's a tempo play, strictly speaking. But if you can make a tempo deck, you'll want to play some kind of Forced Back. Unfortunately, that is not the hero fusion I was looking for. I was looking for a Phoenix Enforcer, and we got a Shining Phoenix Enforcer here. So that's something that I wasn't too pleased with. What I was pleased with is that Icarus Attack up in the top right. That is our second one. Hopefully we can snag one more, but we don't have a ton of packs left to do it in. And just 2 more packs to see if we can snag that Icarus Attack. And there it is. There is our third Icarus Attack. Pretty pleased with what we got in these packs, considering the power level of the set. And then one more pack. We do have one more pack coming up, and our last one is going to have... would you look at that? A 5th Ultimate Rare. 5 Ultimate Rares in one box. I don't think I've ever seen this out of a GX era set. That's pretty nutty. Even though the Ultimate Rare is Destiny Hero Dreadmaster, which is useless to us. We do have Clock Tower Prison, so we can technically make this. And through the effect of Clock Tower Prison is how you want to make this, because that's what turns on its effect to make it truly a Destiny Hero boss monster. But we don't have a ton of Destiny support as of yet. We will get more in the upcoming sets. I don't know how much I personally like Destiny Hero. Destiny Hero's boss monsters are a lot harder to make, but their normal summons have a lot more utility than Elemental Hero. But in any case, that is our opening, and I will see you in Deck Edit. So this is the deck that we will be bringing to today's duel. I am excited to be able to play Machine again with some of the new Machine support in most recent sets, but board may be expecting that, so I have decided to defer playing the Machine deck for one more episode until we get to Power of the Duelist, when we get access to Mausoleum of the Emperor, and will make tribute monsters a lot easier to play. So I've decided to make some modifications to the Dark World Demise deck since it seemed to run so well last time. Not a ton of changes, but I will go over the card by card. Triple Beige, Triple Brow, Triple Brawn, 1 Dark Necrofear, 1 Manju, 1 Sangin, 2 Senju, 3 Silva, 2 Sonic Bird, 1 Witch of the Black Forest, 2 Demise, and 1 Ruin Queen of Oblivion. One thing I noticed in the last duel is that we had issues with ritual material, and Ruin Queen of Oblivion can be a ritual material by itself for a Demise, and Ruin isn't bad either. It's a 2300 double attacker. However, it does not synergize with the Dark Necrofear or any of the other Dark support in the deck. However, I think the card is still certainly good enough to make a contention in this deck. And if we wind up summoning Ruin, that's not a bad thing, just because of how much tempo that she adds to the board. And that'll do it for our monsters. For the spells, we have 1 Book of Moon, 1 Dark Hole, 2 Dark World Lightning. I cut some of the Dark World stuff just because I noticed that Dark World Lightning was dead against some of the decks that board was up to. So I'm playing a couple of different answers out of the board that I could go into if Dark World Lightning winds up being mostly dead. 1 copy of Delinquent Duo, 2 copies of End of the World, which is our ritual, 2 copies of Gateway, because we are playing fewer Dark Worlds, and it does get a little bit bricky with 3 of them, since you can only activate 1 per turn. 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Lightning Vortex, 1 Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 Pot of Greed, and 1 Raigeki round out the spells. And for the traps, we have 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Call of the Haunted, 1 Mirror Force, and 1 Solemn Judgment rounding out the main deck. For the side deck, we have Jinzo in case we see trap cards, 2 Kaiku for Emperor, 3 copies of Majestic Mech Oka. This is a normal summon that is very good at dealing with 2400 monsters, because if you normal summon it without a tribute, it will be sent to the graveyard during the end phase of the turn anyway. So it functions more like a removal spell than it does a monster. And then we have 1 Confiscation if we know we're going first, 1 Giant Trunade, 1 Swords of Revealing Light, and then 2 Compulses to be able to deal with anything that slips through, 2 copies of Dark Deal in case there are some killer spells that we need to stop, and then 2 Phoenix Wing Wind Blast as a generic answer. Pretty excited to run this back. I think we're going to continue to have success with this deck, but we will see what board brings to the table. It is time to get your game on! So, unfortunately, similar to the previous episode, the audio recording for much of this episode corrupted, so I will need to use the replay function of Dueling Book to be able to access the results of this duel. So, unfortunately, we did wind up losing the toss, and we will be on the draw for this game. I'm pretty excited to see what board brought to the table here. He starts off by throwing me for a little bit of a loop, playing an Archfiend Soldier and setting 1. So this is definitely different. He is also on Bark of Dark Ruler, so this tells me he's on a bunch of Fiend support. So we will summon Sonic Bird, get our End of the World, set 1, and ship it back to him. Board will clean up the Sonic Bird and set a couple of back row. I draw Mirror Force for turn, which is not great. But I can punish him for setting all of those back row by using Senju to grab my ritual, or by using Sonic Bird to grab my ritual, and then bringing out Demise, and then paying 2k with Prio to blow up all of his back row. Unfortunately, he is on Statue of the Wicked, which gives him a token whenever it is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. So it's a very good decoy card for baiting out back row support. So now he plays Lighten the Load to shuffle his dead BLS back to be able to draw a new card. So this tells me he's on some kind of either reanimation or special summon heavy deck. So he has exactly 2 cards in his hand, so I'm going to punish him with the Delinquent Duo, which gets rid of Vengeful Bog Spirit and Wave Motion Cannon. So he's playing a hodgepodge of cards that I am really uncertain what exactly he's trying to do. So Demise and Beige will proceed to cut his life total in half, and he has no answer. We take quite a bit of time in sideboarding before I move on to the second game. And then this game, we may be able to see what he's up to a little bit more. So I do have a Senju that I can bring a Demise out with on turn 1, using the Ruin as ritual material, and with priority, we will destroy everything. He will chain Bottomless Trap Hole, which is the punish for using Demise, but I still think it's important to be able to clean up his board. So this is where I find out that he is actually also playing Demise, but unfortunately he is not able to Ritual Summon because we had to have him read his own card, and he realized that he cannot play that, specifically because for End of the World specifically, the levels must match exactly. He also revealed a Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder, which explains all the continuous spells. So this is where I start to get a little bit intrigued about what exactly his deck is trying to do. I do like the synergy of Lighten the Load with Hamon and BLS and the level 8 Ritual monsters, because this will let him cycle through a lot of useless cards in his deck. He does bring out the Hamon here. I do have the Mirror Force to punish it, and now I am pretty far up on cards. So then we Dark World Lightning for Silva. We can't actually kill him, but we can put him at a very low life total, and that will be the end of the match. So he had a lot of crazy pulls that I saw, but mostly he ended up losing this duel because he built a deck that tried to do too much. So with that, I will see you at the prize wheel, and I'm kind of scared of what board will get off of his prizes, because he will get 3 spins of the catch-up wheel due to his current losing streak. I think this was a case of Board's deck trying to do too much, but we are once again back in the winner's circle. Some pretty good prizes on the line this time. I wouldn't mind some of the reprint packs, because this is our last chance to get Dark Beginning 2. Not really too into the wild cards, but we will see what we wind up with, and it looks like we're going to get some packs of the side set, which is going to be Duelist Pack Jade and Yuki. I'm still chasing another Polymerization to be able to play heroes, and we do not get one. None of these cards are terribly interesting. We either already have them or they're no good. Same with these. Really striking out on these Jade and Yuki packs. Dark Catapulter is a card that is exclusive to these packs, but unfortunately the card just isn't very good. And out of our third pack, we did get a Skyscraper. A Skyscraper is a rare out of this set, and it is very important to the Elemental Hero deck. We don't necessarily need more than one because we can find it off of Terraforming, but it is important if we want to be able to play Elemental Heroes. However, because we did get a win, we do get another spin, so perhaps another chance at Polymerization. The tournament packs are pretty good as well. That would give us a chance at Harpy's Feather Duster. Maybe we can get a good... oh, that's actually pretty nice. That is a Dark Beginning 2, which is what I'm going to take. Hopefully get that Cyberstein. This is our last chance to get a Stein. And this first pack is not great. Heroku Field is kind of cool. Sura Priest is cool, but I think she's outlived her usefulness at this point. Second pack has another Heroku Field and another Kaiku. So that is our play set of Kaiku. We will have 3 of those to be able to combat the Chaos decks. And the rest of this are cards that we already have or are not useful. And our last pack... Game! I don't need a 4th Kaiku. I already have 3 of them. The Royal Command is good if he does ever decide to go back to the flip deck, but I am not really seeing going back to a heavy flip strategy. I'm pretty happy with what I ended up getting, even though I didn't get a Stein. That 3rd Kaiku is going to serve us well, and we'll go into our side deck immediately. And that'll be a wrap for today's episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Our next set is Power of the Duelist. Until then, see you around.